Hello, YouTube friends, maybe BitTube friends. Yeah, I think YouTube's gonna leave me alone. I don't, I'm not posting all my videos on BitTube except when YouTube threatens to take me down, and you know, I post on BitTube too. But this is a brief comment I want to make on the trucker convoy. And I think some of the people that click on my videos probably listen to a fellow as well occasionally. Maybe they're subscribed to the Big Bear Benjamin Owen, he calls himself. Uh, Really interesting commentary he makes on many issues. But here is something that was very peculiar and disturbing. I mean, I've had issues with Owen Benjamin, who kicks the shit out of Jordan Peterson for, for good reason. The enemy of my enemy is my friend kind of feeling I have about the guy, but he's over the top. I mean, totally, completely. He's a narcissist. The same way Peterson is a narcissist. They know each other. He's calling out Peterson for the with his friend. I think his friend is called Vox Day. Great comments. Some of the things they say are fabulous, and I've listened to him, and I've appreciated some of the things he says. But this last thing I came across kind of sunk his ship for me, and what has been bothering me is his entire tirade against the Jays, as he calls them, and the Bs, and he's got all the sodomites. He's got this entire litany of subjects for his ridicule and attack, and some of it, I have to say, I agree. I mean, there is a point to it, but it breaks down when you're just so focused on two things. One is to ridicule and destroy the adversaries of civilization, as he has a proclivity through his comedy. He wants to destroy all the people that are destroying the fabric of the family. Again, I don't have an issue. I think it's an excellent position to take, that to have a family and love your kids completely and totally. I have to remind him that, again, the reality is not as it appears. I think the source of our contribution to each other comes out of an honesty, and when we make a mistake, we admit it. He says he admits making a mistake, or if he makes a mistake, he'll change. I have my doubts, because when you're as dogmatic as an Owen Benjamin, you're just as religious as maybe not as severe as the Vatican religious types, but another version of it. So here's the point. He came out and talked about the truckers being a bunch of wahoo yahoo guys, that this is all a psyop and it's being orchestrated, and there's no way a person is going to get into his truck and pay hundreds of dollars of fuel every day to go and protest. And this is something, and it's who's behind it? Jay is behind it. One of the big J's in his litany of guilty Jews that he loves to attack, Ezra Levant. And again, he makes great points about Ezra Levant, but Levant is not GoFunding the trucker thing. He said, oh, Ezra Levant is putting $6 million in his pocket and he's rubbing his hands, and we could run the trucks on all the J's rubbing their... I mean, this is insidious. This is disgusting. People who listen to Owen Benjamin, if you don't pick this up, you're being duped by a guy who is it's kind of like the dog wagging his tail in the china shop. He's walking forward, but his tail is knocking everything over behind him. And this is something that is being sort of comes up in a lot of the people who post, who are not mainstream people or politicians who have a huge platform. Different people. Benjamin has a huge platform, relatively speaking. And there is this kind of sensibility about attaching extraordinary powers to these people. And he says, oh, I don't want it. I'm not a leader. Well, you're full of shit, Owen Benjamin. You are presenting yourself as somebody who, through their outspokenness, is more or less the king of the hill. You're the king of the hill, and anybody that doesn't go along with you gets canceled, gets deleted, gets shoved off. And I understand. I've had similar issues in terms of people trolling me and getting on my nerves and all of that. But the point about the truckers I was going to make is that even if Owen Benjamin was right, and he isn't, even if he was right, what I was on an overpass yesterday, saluting the cars and the trucks coming by and waving flags and screaming their heads off, and I was giving my thumbs up to the truckers and cars going under the overpass with lots of other people. It's a small community here, and there must have been 300 people on this overpass. My camera, I was photographing, I was filming, and the camera was so cold it didn't work, so I don't have the footage. But anyway, what I realize, what I believe, what I think is not whether or not this is a psyop to raise money for Ezra Levant, this idiot, this narcissistic screwball, this Owen Benjamin, who makes a lot of good points about many different things. But this is where it fundamentally breaks down for me. His disgust and hatred for certain groups of people have come out and spilled over into this, for him not to recognize for whatever the motivation behind a trucker or this group of truckers is, they represent something. They symbolize something. This is like what we as a community of people who feel oppressed by the austerities and the authoritarian power grabs that are going on by the governments all over the world. They represent a voice for people like me who say, we're not going to go along with this. We reject, without bringing out the pitchforks and going into some major violence, which is always a wonderful solution for the bastards. They'd love to get us out on the streets and dress in black with black masks over our faces, call ourselves Antifa, and be funded by Soros and create chaos. Like the one, I listened to a wonderful commentary by a woman who talked about the Belgian protests against the mandates and the vaccine passports, all this stuff all over the world, not being reported. What was reported was the black masks going around in unison with the authorities, the police types, who were pretending they were the hooligans destroying society with their protests. Meanwhile, a peaceful protest with hundreds of thousands, not like a few hundred who were destroying property. This was going on parallel, but nobody was reporting on it. So the point is that the truckers are literally people who represent a community within a community that have finally said enough is enough. And whether or not they're motivated by greed to get fundraising and his little tirade on the Jews. And I'd like to remind Owen Benjamin, there is a big difference between what he calls the hand-rubbing Jews. It's obscene, the way he carries on. And the entire motivation behind him seems so like there are those people that aren't for family and kids, and there are those that live in cities, I guess, or something, that can't support themselves with animals and shovel shit the way he does every day. Well, imagine, Owen Benjamin, if everybody did what you did, it'd be a fucking mayhem. If cities were to empty and fill all the land with self-sustaining shit scoopers like you are for your animals, fucking A for you. But there is a lot of people who just don't have that inclination, desire to be, a father of 20 and scoop animal shit every day. I'm just saying that there are other ways of approaching the circumstances we're in, even though I agree they're dire in many ways, and he has a good point. Don't ask for your freedom. Just don't rely on anybody. And it makes sense. It's not a matter of comply. You see, when I say he says some good things, it's not a matter don't comply. It's don't rely. Yes, but just imagine living in a city of 5 million, 6 million people. Don't rely. Are you out of your mind, Benjamin? Are you out of your fucking gourd? and stop the stupid tirades on all your favorite subjects. It's like there are plenty to go around, and you're not immune from it because you're a fucking narcissist. That's what I say. Because the way you present yourself, the way you've identified Jordan Peterson's proclivity, the rage in the man, you don't identify the actual cause behind why Peterson is so destructive to a community, to a society of people. The intellectuals, as Noam Chomsky says, a community, a society deserves their intellectuals. You haven't identified actually what it is. It's not the intellectual part that the people deserve, is they don't deserve this addictive personality, the Jordan Peterson addictive personality that is completely overwhelmed by his rage, his unrecognized rage. He's in a bubble of anger about something, and he hasn't recognized it. And this filters through everything that he says. And the same with Owen Benjamin. He has a rage about shit he hasn't recognized in himself, and he's spreading it all over the world with his garbage on the Jews. I mean, if you want to get into the Jew thing, you're much better off identifying the Zionists who don't need to be Jewish in order to propagate that agenda that you claim are done by by this segment of the population called Jews. But you're nuts. You're out of your gourd, man. This is done by a group called the Zionists, all out there. It's so old. I mean, this stuff is so passe, and people play along like we see now. Obviously, there are people called Muslims who play along, Catholics that play along, Jews that play along. Everybody has a proclivity to play along because they don't recognize the power in themselves as being people of conscience. You have a conscience, you can make a decision for yourself. You don't have to listen to an Owen Benjamin or Peterson or a Bergoglio Pope or a Trudeau or anybody. You can make up your own mind. And I think this is the insidious part of this is that when people say the right things a lot of the time, we tend to forgive them for the wrong things that they say. And if you confront them with something, because they're narcissists, they delete. They get rid of you. And this is exactly what this guy's, what I'm seeing is doing as well. He pretends to be fair with criticism, but I doubt it. I really do. I'm not subscribed to his thing, so I'm not leaving comments, and he doesn't have a BitChute. He doesn't allow comments under BitChute because it would get maybe a little bit too aggressive. I don't know his history. I don't know what he's had to put up with. He says he comes out of Hollywood. I trust no one. I trust no one coming out of Hollywood. Whether they're disgraced Hollywood types or whether they're active Hollywood types, anybody out of Hollywood has Scheiß am Stock. It's a German saying. The has Scheiß am Stock means you got your shit running down your leg, basically. So my comment on the trucker thing, I gave my thumbs up. I was on the overpass for 45 minutes or an hour, joining other people who have all their virtues and their vices all in one pot. But we were saying to each other that this symbolizes a change in recognizing that there are people out there, not, as Trudeau likes to say, a fringe element. This is huge. This was for my community, a small community, to have 300 people or 400 people, probably more. It was maybe closer to 1,000, I think. People on the overpass crowding each other in, it was minus 12 or minus, it was cold. And this is not fringe, as Trudeau says, or is like a psyop run out of some back room by a guy called Ezra Levant. You numbnut, Owen Benjamin, you numbnut, stop it, quit it. Quit while you're ahead and stick to your homesteading comments and how to grow a good tomato and love your kids like you say you do. And I have other thoughts on this character. I'm not going to go into it now. I might in the future. And the more traction he gets, the more important it is to point out when things aren't really working. So that's what I got. I know there are people that listen to me that really love this Benjamin guy, and like I said, he says some good things, but you gotta identify this quality in people. You can't just sort of give them a free pass. We say with Peterson, it's obvious. I mean, the guy is over the top. The propagatedness of this guy is so obvious, and a person like Benjamin is like creeping up. He's creeping up, and he's propagated in that sense as well. And he needs to be held to account for some of the shit he says, and as well on the homosexual community and his. It's so seductive to actually go along with the reasoning that he's presenting, his sodomite reasoning that it's unnatural and kids and stuff. Listen, the simplest thing is do no harm. If you do, be held accountable, but don't make it into what is this? This criticism of the gay community that he has is attached to some sort of a holy war almost. This is when things break down, when you transition into some kind of dogma around something that this group of people is destroying everybody on earth. No, they're not. They're having an effect, but it's not them. It's the people that go along that feel advantage from taking that position. I don't know if I need to explain this more. It's like what he says that kids are being taught how to be a transgender person when they're like in grade 5 or grade 6. It's outrageous. It's out bloody rageous. The educational system has nothing to do with gays running it. It has to do with people who have an agenda to get little sheep. You know, you come out of your little cubicle and you end up without any thoughts. It's like Reagan, Nancy Reagan was it, who said no child left behind, or was it Reagan? Yeah, I think it was Nancy Reagan. And then Gore Vidal said, yeah, what she was really saying is no child left with a mind. Gore Vidal, a gay guy. Owen Benjamin, a gay guy. He made a good point. He may have been a sodomite, but he made a really good point on Nancy Reagan. So I find this to be very selective. The people that you dislike and blame the ills of society on, when you get very selective on this, it becomes problematic for me. And as much as I enjoy and what he calls his comedian side of things, he's like, I'm just a lowly comedian. Well, Benjamin, I'm just a lowly artist. I have an opinion. I may not be as funny as you, but we're in the same group of kind of degenerates, I suppose. We're like comedians and artists. I'm just a lowly artist. Yeah. Just a heads up. Just a heads up for all those who are getting enthusiastic about this guy. Be careful, because he has a seductive quality about him that, you know, things may be good for him the way it works for him, but it won't work for you, especially if you're a city slicker and you have no opportunity. And even country folk like me, I rely. We rely on each other, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with relying on others to make the world better for you, the way the people rely on you to make the world better for them. There's nothing wrong with that. It's who we rely on that makes a difference. He's right about that, who we rely on. But you don't have to become a homesteader and shovel shit for your goats in order to have a proper life. Go truckers. My people. My people, the representative of my clan, the clan of conscience.